want to start explaining by very briefly letting you know how it is that the brain processes and deals with fear, or deals with any information, in fact. So as you know, all our information comes through us through senses. We either see it, we hear it, we smell it, or we feel it, we touch it. What happens is that all that information is taken in its raw form, and it's brought into the thalamus, which is a part of the brain, and that receives all of this information. Then that sends it very quickly to the cortex in the brain. And the cortex of the brain then takes that raw information and it breaks it into sections. So visual, smell, hearing, and it passes that information then onto the third part of the brain, which is the prefrontal cortex. And that prefrontal cortex scans the information and decides whether it's threatening or not. If it's not threatening, it allows the body to stay calm and stay relaxed, and you maintain course, keep doing what you're doing. If there is a threat there, it mobilizes the body straight away. So it sends a strong, powerful message down the spinal cord into the central nervous system, and it activates every part of the body. So it produces chemicals and neurochemicals, it activates digestive enzymes, it does lots of powerful stuff. So what we know is the body in its physiological state is actually almost like a 3D printout of the mind. So your mind and your thoughts are being sent into your spinal cord. That becomes your central nervous system, and your body physiologically and physically is responding to the information from the brain. So as I said, the raw information is taken in, it's accepted by the thalamus. The thalamus sends that raw information up to the cortex. The cortex separates it into different sections, then it's passed through the prefrontal cortex, and that decides whether it's threatening or not. Now, the prefrontal cortex is so powerful that not only can it distinguish between threatening and non-threatening information, but it will subsection, it will divide the threatening information, and it will decide whether that threat is present in this time and space or not. So it will distinguish whether it's a live threat and something real, or whether it's something unreal. And depending on whether it's real or unreal, it will signal a response, a physiological response. Now, what happens in a stress state, what happens in a way where we're bombarded with information, is the information goes into the thalamus so fast, it gets past the cortex, that the momentum actually starts to build so fast that it can't get past quick enough into the prefrontal cortex. The problem with that now is the logical part of the brain, the part of the brain that takes all of your information and decides whether it's threatening or not, is shut off. And when that's shut off, then you have no filter, you have nobody in your brain telling you logically what's real, what's threatening and not. And because your body's primary goal is to keep you alive, then it treats every information as a threat. So once your prefrontal cortex is shut down, every piece of information you get, every sight, every sound, every smell, everything then becomes a threat. So I bet in the last few days that this happened where a lot of people wake up in the morning and your throat is a little sore and dry, and we're panicking. And then when we think about it for a second, we realize, well, I've been asleep all night and I'm dehydrated. Every little cough, every little sneeze, we're immediately panicking to see have we got the virus. Where maybe a week ago, we would have had the same physiological response, the same cough, the same sneeze, and we wouldn't have even thought about it. So what has happened now is because we're being bombarded with so much information on a regular basis, and because our prefrontal cortex has been shut down, everything now seems like a threat. And it's like everywhere we go, everything we read, everything we think about is threatening and frightening. And our body then is in this constant state of alertness. We're in this fight, flight, or free state where we're producing cortisol and adrenaline. What happens then in this sustained state of fear is fear turns to stress, and stress turns to anxiety. And there's a big difference in all three. I won't get into them tonight. But the difference in anxiety and fear is a physiological, emotional response to a direct stimulus. There is something specific that you're afraid of. Anxiety is a heightened, stiff reaction, physical, physiological, and emotional reaction to an undefined source. You've now lost the ability to even know what you're afraid of. You've lost the ability to even know what you're anxious about. It's just this state of being. So, now that we know that, now that we know that everything we see, touch and hear has been filtered, how do we re-engage the prefrontal cortex? The prefrontal cortex of your brain is the key in which you can filter all information. It's the logical part of your brain. So you wake up in the morning with that sore throat and you ask yourself, have I been asleep all night? Yes. Is the room warm? Yes. Am I simply dehydrated? Yes. So we have to do activities. So what allows us to open the prefrontal cortex is very simple breathing routines where we take the stress out of the body. What allows us to open the prefrontal cortex is engaging any activity that allows us to think. So it could be colouring, it could be crosswords, anything that makes us think. What I find really powerful is yoga poses that involve balancing, coordination, where we call hemisync, where we have to link both sides of the brain. So the more activities you can do that require you to be thinking opens the prefrontal cortex and you reopen your filter. So that's the first part. The second part is when we're in that overwhelmed state of information, where every piece of information is now seen as a threat, something happens. As I said, the prefrontal cortex, even when it takes threatening information, it quickly defines, is that information relevant in this time and space? Is it relevant to my life right now? Is it actually happening now? And if it's yes or no, it'll respond differently. But when the prefrontal cortex shuts off, what happens is we lose the ability. So now we're starting to think about something that might happen in 6 months' time or 9 months' time or 12 months' time. And the body doesn't know that it's not happening now. The body actually thinks it's happening now. So you have fear even though it has never happened. The other most important thing is it doesn't know the difference in past and future. So your body's in the state of anxiety, the state where it's looking for everything it knows about trauma. And now it goes back into your past. And it reopens every experience you've had that was traumatic. And it wants to check, has it been resolved? And if it has been resolved, then it's great. But if it hasn't, your body still sees it as a live threat. Remember I said, when the prefrontal cortex shuts down, we lose the ability to understand whether the threat is live and real in this time and space or something from the past or the future. Now what is happening when we lose that ability, we're taking past traumas, old relationship breakdowns, times when we lost jobs in the past 10 years ago, times in our life where we felt not good enough, and all of that is coming flooding back. It is amazing how many people are saying this week, my old self is back. I thought I had dealt with the anxiety or the depression. I thought I had moved on from this way of being, but this old me is back. What happened in many circumstances is that we didn't deal with that trauma correctly. We simply distracted it. We substitute one addiction for the other. We substitute one distraction for another. Work, coffee shops, gyms, social, being out, being seen, be heard. And we created enough distraction, we created enough noise in our life that drowned out their inner voice. And I used to say in the last number of years in my work, when I see people who are always on the go, always out, always needing to be seen, always doing things, going to the gym every single day of the week, there was a term I used to use, and it was trauma in motion. And some of us, and many of us for the last while, has been trauma in motion, unresolved trauma, undigested emotions that we never really dealt with. We simply got busy and distracted ourselves away from. And now that those external distractions have been removed out of our life, now that our brain is constantly scanning our future and our past for any source of trauma, any trauma in your history that you've left unresolved is now coming back. And it's also amazing how many people not only are beginning to feel the way they felt when they were 8 years old or 10 years old, or they're beginning to feel the way they felt when they last lost their job, when they last worried about money, but also physically, our bodies are re-entering that state of being. People who have had lower back issues for years, and now for the last 4, 5, 10 years had no issue. And now they're saying, I can't believe that is back. So I'm asking them, when you had it before, what year was that? And they say, 2007, 2008. And I ask, what was happening in your life then? They say, we were going through a recession. I was losing my job. I was worried about being able to provide for my family. And then I'd ask, and what's happening right now? What we don't repair, we repeat. Emotionally, cognitively, biologically, and biochemically. We are now back to the person that we never resolved. We are back to our state of being. And why some people say, and I believe that instead of saying I want to get through this stage, we have to commit to I want to grow through it. And the biggest opportunity for growth is resolving unresolved trauma and undigested emotions. Many of us, the fear we're experiencing right now may actually have nothing to do with the virus. It may have nothing to do with what's going on right now. It could be a future fear that we are manifesting, that we're creating, imagining in our head, but not real. Or in most cases, it's an old trauma from the past that we never resolved. And now it's back to meet us. What I'm asking people is meet it with compassion and kindness. It has come back to you for a reason. That old you, that inner you, that 8-year-old self you, that you have been running from for the last 3, 4, 5, 10 years, is asking you to meet it face to face. It's asking you to listen to him or to her with kindness and compassion. What we don't repair, we repeat. And sometimes the biggest lesson in a traumatic environment is it makes us deal with all of the inner trauma that we've had. And trauma comes in all shapes and sizes. Physical trauma, losing job, losing your home, being in a car accident, that's all trauma. But for me, the single biggest trauma a human being can experience is the feeling of being unloved or unlovable. And when we feel unloved or unlovable, it makes us feel an emotion that I'm not good enough. It makes us feel almost guilty that we're not the type of person that people can love. It makes us feel shameful. And fear, shame, and guilt are actually the biggest things that hold us back in life. And in some ways, if as a child we have felt that we let people down, then this virus, this situation, if you feel like you're going to lose your job, you just again feel like you're letting people down again. If somewhere in your past you have been made believe that you are not good enough, then the fear of losing your job is not about losing your job. It's making you say to yourself, I knew you weren't good enough. I knew this wouldn't last. If somewhere in your life you have been made believe or made think that you do not deserve love and you do not deserve the life you dream of, then this situation is bringing that voice back saying, I knew I didn't deserve that and I knew it wouldn't last. In a crisis situation, what we're actually met with is our inner self and our inner beliefs. What a crisis brings up are not really new emotions. They make us meet the emotions that we've never dealt with. They make us re-meet and remember unresolved trauma. And that is why it is so incredible that we see so many people being compassionate, being caring, being loving to neighbours now. We see that human spirit come alive, and that is incredible. But can you extend it to yourself? Can the running stop? The need to be distracted every single minute. The need to do 5 home workouts every day. Can the running stop, and can you come face to face with your inner self? And if this time has done one thing, if it has brought you face to face with your inner self, and now is the chance for you to stop running and to resolve that inner emotion, what an incredible gift this will be. So, I'd like us to close our eyes. I'm going to take us through a 10-minute, very simple but a powerful meditation. And I'd like you to close down your eyes and we start to breathe. And we start to just take in that new air. And we remind ourselves that today is a day you've never lived before. Every cell in your body is renewing itself every single day. So physically, you have never been this person before. And if we can renew ourselves physically, then we can renew ourselves physiologically, biochemically, neurochemically. We can let go and release. And as you close your eyes and as you begin to breathe in this meditation, I want you to think about what's the one thing you want to release. What's the part of you, what's the inner belief you hold that you want to release? What is the undigested emotion? What is the unresolved trauma that you are being called right now to face and to feel? And can you allow yourself to both face and feel it? The time for running has stopped. The time for distraction has passed. And the time for healing is now. And we take 3 deep breaths. And we breathe in new healing air. We breathe out, and we breathe out old stories, old beliefs. And we check in right here, right now. And we repeat. So please repeat after me. I am here. I am only here. I am in this moment right now. And my mind and my body is not anywhere but in this moment. And in this moment, I release myself from all of my past. I release myself from all of the physical, emotional, and biochemical ties that hold me in that past. I release myself from everything that was. I release myself from everybody I was. I bring in kindness. I bring in self-compassion. I surrender self-judgment. I surrender self-destruction. I no longer need distraction. because I am here in this moment. I am here in this time and space, and I am safe. I have breath. I have my mind, and I have my spirit. And because I have my spirit, I am enough. I have always been enough. But now I begin to see it. I begin to let the energy of the divine flow through me. I surrender the need to know, the need to control, and I surrender the need to predict. And I replace it with a love of simply being, knowing that I am enough, right here, right now. I am safe and I am enough. And we breathe with 3 big deep breaths. We breathe in fresh, and we let go of the old. And as we sit here with our eyes closed, I want you to meet a friend. It's your 8-year-old self. And they're looking at you. And they know your fear isn't really about the virus. They have seen the way you live, the way you work, the way you think. They have seen the way you've distracted yourself over the years, looking for attention and affirmation, looking for outside affirmation. And they've waited patiently until you'd stop. And now you've stopped. The external distractions have been taken away. And they're here to give you the greatest hug that you've ever received. Because they love you. They know your past is no longer important. But they also know the parts of your past that you need to heal. The parts of your past you need to sit this week and write about, speak about. The parts of yourself you want to cry about, laugh about. The parts of your past you need to move out. The parts of your past they want you to let go of. And this 8-year-old self, this 8-year-old you is going to stay with you for the next week, guiding you, giving you logic, saying, but you are enough. And you will get jobs. And this will pass. And when it does, you will be you, but a better you than you've ever been. More gentle, more calm, more grounded, more free. When we make inner peace, when we make peace and release our past, it no longer shows up in our brain, it no longer shows up in our hippocampus or our thalamus, and it no longer shows up in our body. In a podcast I did with Roz Purcell quite a while ago, I said we all need to break up with our past. It was what it was. It served us, but it's no longer relevant. It's no longer relevant to this time and space. You are a new you. Every cell in your body is regenerating all the time. Please do not live in the shadow of the past or the illusion of the future. Awaken to the mystery of the moment, the mystery of the present, and be comfortable with unknowing. Be comfortable in the space between the no longer and the not yet. And be comfortable in the knowledge that you are enough. And this too will pass. And when it does, you will emerge different, more connected, more grounded. You will have stopped running, stopped hiding. And we finish with 3 or 4 nice big deep breaths. And we begin this journey. And I will stay with you on this journey for the next few weeks. And I will do sessions and meditations. And we will release the old. We will surrender the future. And we will become present. And chemically, biochemically, neurochemically, physiologically and physically, your body will respond. Your mind will slow down. You will begin to see the world not as a threat anymore, but as an incredible opportunity, an incredible mystery. And if we slowly open our eyes, the trauma that we're dealing with now is very often not the trauma of the moment. It's the trauma of the past. It's something that you have held in your psyche. And what is our psyche? Psyche is soul. What is your soul asking you to let go of? What would it take for you to set your soul free of the past, of fear, of regret? What would it take for you to open your soul with renewed energy, with renewed love, and bear and dare to show the world your soul? What would that look like? I have dedicated my work to understanding what the human soul is, to realizing that we are energy fields, and our incredible brain, our incredible anatomy, our spinal cord, our central nervous system is simply responding to the electrical circuitry created by our psyche in our soul. We are human souls, human spirits, human energy. And we are more powerful than we can imagine. You are more powerful than you can possibly believe. But in order to realize it, you need to become present in the moment. Release and let go everything that is holding your soul back. Maybe your soul is like wings. It's time you release them. It's time you dare to fly. Do you not know who you are? Thank you for joining me tonight. I hope you've got some learning from this about how we process fear and anxiety in our brain, how it's linked to our prefrontal cortex and into our spinal cord. I hope I've explained how the body then becomes a physical, physiological reaction or manifestation of our thoughts. I hope to have explained that sometimes the trauma we're responding to is not the trauma of the present, but the trauma of the past. And when we go back into the past and relive the trauma of the past, we begin to feel, both physically, in our body and in our mind, exactly as we felt back when that trauma. The time has come to actually heal and not distract anymore.